A choice of sports action this evening. There's cricket from England's tour of Pakistan with highlights from day 3 of the first test on Sky Sports 2. Plus there's tennis with Masters Cup highlights from Shanghai on Sky Sports Extra. But right here on Sky Sports 1, it's an FA Cup first round replay between Weymouth and Nottingham Forest. Once he and his team walked on water, or so it seemed. Forest were near invincible under Clough. 2 European Cups, testimony to their greatness. The glory days are long gone. Gary Megson, the latest to fail to halt the slide, no matter how hard he tries. Forest were reduced to their lowest ebb by tiny non-league Weymouth, the Terrors under manager Gary Hill. Hill's overseen cup shocks before. Their fans believe tonight they can terrorise one of the all-time great clubs.
Yeah, we'll have it, man. I mean, we're the giant killers, you know what I mean? Come on, the Terrors.
Come on, Weymouth!
Tonight, you watch it, Terrors, 2-0, second half, going down. It is easy.
Good result away, so, you know, return one. So, up the Terrors, come on.
Weymouth! Come on, Weymouth!
FA Cup's on about giant killing. You guys are going to see one here tonight. So, come on, the Terrors!
It's Weymouth of the Conference South against one of the greatest names in British football, Nottingham Forest, for a place in round 2 of the FA Cup. It could be the greatest night in the history of non-league Weymouth. It could be the worst night in the history of Nottingham Forest. Welcome to the Wessex Stadium. Huge record crowd wedged into this tiny ground on the south coast. Virtually all of them hoping to see David slay Goliath. And Goliaths don't come much bigger than this. With me this evening, the former Weymouth player-manager, Steve Claridge. Evening, Steve.
Evening.
It would be foolish, wouldn't it, to dismiss Weymouth as a bunch of butchers, bakers and IT operators, because they're virtually all full-time pros.
They are. I mean, you look outside the conference and people start to, well, denigrate it a little bit because it's a league that nobody takes a lot of notice of, non-league terms outside the conference. But this is, yeah, there's a few bakers and candlestick makers who like to earn what some of these boys are earning down here. Logistically, it's a nightmare, I should know. You try and get people down there, you have to pay them that little bit more. But what they have got is they've got a certain amount of quality down there that will give Forest a really good game.
Well, let's look at the 11 that they will start with this evening. Weymouth had the luxury of resting a few players in the league at the weekend, but they're back to the 11 that did them proud at the City Ground in the first game. Big names in the Nottingham Forest team, aren't they? Look at that, Paul Gerrard, ex-Everton. Gary Holt, who was playing in the Premiership for Norwich last season. John Curtis, ex-Manchester United. David Johnson, ex-Ipswich. Host of big name players. 3 changes for them from the side that drew at Bournemouth. John Curtis, Ross Gardner and Gareth Taylor all get starts this evening. I suppose the big question, Steve, is have Weymouth had their chance? Non-league teams don't often get a second bite at the cherry.
Yeah, I mean, you're right in what you're saying. I mean, generally you get your chance, you get your one chance where you might possibly get your little bit of luck or something goes your way. It's difficult. I think it'll probably be a harder game for Weymouth tonight than it was in the previous occasion. I think Forest will come here. Undoubtedly, this is a huge game for them. You said it before, you know, Gary Megson, they haven't had a great time. They'll need this. This will be a real fillip if they can win this one. But I think that, you know, if ever he'll learn about his players, I think it will be tonight, whether they've got the stomach for it, not only for this, but for the fight ahead in the league. And, you know, it remains to be seen. The interesting thing is we've got Weymouth in their league who are probably looked at the same way as Forest are in theirs. You know, they are by far the biggest club. They've got the biggest finances, you know, and it's how you actually perform. One's doing it and the other isn't.
66 places in the league pyramid between the sides. There you can see Forest relegated last season, not having it all their own way in League One. They're in 9th spot at the moment. And as Steve was saying, Weymouth, well, having a good run in the Conference South in 5th place at the moment, nicely poised with games in hand. If you want to put this in terms of the Football League. This is the equivalent of Carlisle United having a home game against West Ham or Newcastle United. And I mentioned that on Saturday, for example, Gary Hill had the luxury of resting some of his players. And look, they took on Welling, who are one of the top sides in this division, unbeaten away from home. And even with half a reserve team out, we're able to beat them, an indication of the strength and depth.
I mean, they've signed an awful lot of players, Weymouth. They seem to be signing players on a regular occurrence almost every week. There's 7 games. They've won their last 7 games at home, Weymouth. They took on Welling, who were actually top of the league going into this game. And as you say, with what you wouldn't, not half a side, but a lot of players out and managed to win. So, yeah, they have got really great strength and depth as well at this level.
Well, neither of those goal scorers have got a place in the starting lineup this evening for Weymouth. The man in charge, of course, is Gary Hill. He's masterminded cup shocks in the past with Dagenham and Redbridge. Can he do it again this evening? He's talking with Greg Whelan.
Gary, there's been a great buzz all around the town over this game. Has it been a case of keeping your players' minds focused on the job?
Not really. You know, we've had a couple of games since we played up at Forest, and boys done very well in that meantime. It's quite easy to be distracted, but you know, they've been very professional, got 2 good results, very relaxed at the moment, and looking forward to tonight's match.
In terms of confidence, what can your players take from that draw at the City Ground?
A great deal, really. A great deal of belief, really, as well. What goes with the confidence, and you know, I think it's going to be a very hard game tonight. I feel that Forest are probably reprieved, that they've got another chance to come here and finish the job themselves tonight. But you know, I've gone with exactly the same team what started the job up at Forest, and hopefully they can finish off here tonight.
You've had similar experiences at Dagenham and Redbridge, of course. What's your advice to your players tonight?
Well, I think the most important thing early on in the game is to get amongst them. As I've always said, you know, we've got to turn around and be very competitive, get in their faces, play very narrow, make it hard for them, and hopefully the fans are turn around and play that 12th man tonight.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Well, one of the 2 of the faces won't be too familiar to you. Here's Matt Bound, a fella that Steve Claridge knows all about. A bit of a captain fantastic. You signed him, didn't you, Steve?
I did, yes. Yeah, he's an extremely nice lad, and he's a decent player as well, with a nice left foot.
He does take the penalties, he takes free kicks, he's good in the air, does absolutely everything in truth as far as the home side are concerned. Here's Lee Elam, who's had a few chances at league level, played for Yeovil quite recently. I mean, they call him Bestie down here, which is an indication of how he plays the game. I expect he's probably not quite as good, Steve.
Yeah, quite possibly, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I mean, they've got some decent players, certainly in non-league terms.
And here's another of them, Kirk Jackson, who, in non-league terms, is a big player.
Yeah, I mean, probably a lot of I mean, you look at these, and a lot of them would have started with jobs and been in the non-league. And with going full-time, you know, all of a sudden the club, from the year before, club's gone full-time. They've taken that on a whole new level, because you've got to compensate people for that, you know, and that's why you're getting players of the ilk that you have now.
He might be looking for a favour or 2 from fella on the opposition side. Ian Brecken. Ian Brecken was actually best man at Kirk Jackson's wedding, would you believe? And there's another who's got bags of experience at playing at a higher level. They're going to need that experience, aren't they, playing at a higher level at a ground like this, which is absolutely packed to the rafters.
It is. I mean, it's really is a special occasion. As we say, people, you know, they're struggling to fit them in, aren't they? They're walking around the pitch, actually trying to look for a space to get into the ground. So it's a fantastic occasion. I think I'm not quite sure how much this is an advantage to Weymouth, because a big crowd, a decent atmosphere. You know, if you're struggling to get up for a game, you know, normally it's the little clubs when you've got 500 or 600 people in Forest going there, and it's a horrible little ground. This is a nice ground, this is a nice pitch, and a decent crowd. There are no excuses for Forest tonight.
Nevertheless, I would suspect that the Forest manager Gary Makeson is feeling a little nervy right now. Let's find out if he is. He's talking to Greg.
Gary, having failed to win first time around, how much pressure have your players put themselves under tonight?
Well, certainly a great deal more than if we'd managed to get through that tie. But you know, it's something that was always, you know, might happen if you don't go and play in the right way, which I didn't feel that we did. We can play a lot better than that, and you know, we've now given ourselves it is a mountain to climb given the circumstances.
Forest have lost this season to a non-league side in the LDV Trophy, Woking, of course. Have lessons been learnt at all?
Well, that team that played against Woking, there'll be about 10 changes tonight, so that was a different kettle of fish entirely. But you know, we've also lost to Macclesfield at home in the Carling Cup. But I felt that on that occasion we did okay, certainly in the second half. But this one's I think is entirely different for us, given the it'll be a sellout. The cameras are here, and their players, I would imagine that they'll be looking at this as the biggest game in their careers, and our players have got to treat it exactly the same way.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Well, it's interesting, Steve, Gary saying that their players have got to treat it as a massive game as well. But look, as professional footballers, many of whom have played at a higher level, somewhere deep down in their psyche, they're going to be thinking, aren't they? It's only Weymouth, it's only a Conference South side. We're bound to roll them over this time.
I'm not sure they will. I think they possibly might if they go 2 or 3 up and say, this is how it should have finished. I'm not sure with the surroundings we've got here. I don't think it's a case that they can take it lightly. I think that what they are used to is they are used to playing under that sort of pressure. They've been doing it all season, as of Weymouth. So both sides are used to pressure situations. It isn't a game they can afford to take lightly. It isn't a game that they can afford not to have the right attitude. If they have and they approach it right, they should win it. If they don't, there's not that much between the two sides. I know we're talking about 66 places, but actually performance-wise, when they played each other, there wasn't that much between them. And they could get caught out.
Is their rotten form away from home in the league relevant at all times?
No, absolutely not. Often your form, your luck and your form for the league is something totally different than it is in the cup. Often the luck that you haven't had, you do get in the cup. I'm not sure that they'll want anything to come down to chance here. I think they'll want to go out. Gary Megson will want them to go out and give a performance that shows that they are the professional club and the team that should go out and win this game.
Well, there have never been more than 5,000 in this ground. There are 6,500 or so here this evening. The extra Portaloos are in place. The £5 Jesters hats have all been sold, and the teams are in the tunnel, ready for action this evening. What a huge game it is. It may be the first round of the FA Cup, but they don't get much bigger than this. Here come the teams. Here come our commentators, Tony Gale and Neil Crocker.
Thank you, Jeff. Well, Weymouth is a popular seaside resort in summer. It's normally pretty quiet at this time of the year, but it's not quiet tonight. Two-time European Cup winners Nottingham Forest are in town for a tie that sums up the FA Cup. No butchers, bakers or candlestick makers here. These guys work as footballers. Weymouth are full-time. Andy Harris, who scored at the City Ground, used to clean Neil Ruddock's boots as a trainee at Liverpool. Skipper Matt Bound was in the same Southampton youth team as Gareth Taylor, who he's up against tonight. While Kirk Jackson faces his best man, Ian Brecken. They were together at Chesterfield. The same team that started at Forest is given another chance to go for glory.
And it's 4-4-2 for Gary Hill's Weymouth, and I think there's a big onus on those central defenders tonight. O'Brien and Bound, really got to be safety first at the back there, not make early mistakes. That's vital that they stay in the game, and if they do, then of course the wide players, Clark and Elam on either side, capable of getting at fullbacks, getting their crosses in, but Jackson and Eriban up front, I'm sure that that's going to be the game plan.
Well, Gary Megson makes 3 changes from the side that drew along the coast of Bournemouth on Saturday. Gareth Taylor, who once had a loan spell here at Weymouth, is back from suspension. John Curtis is back from injury. It's his first game since August. And there's an FA Cup debut for Ross Gardner. Jack Lester, Nicky Eden and John Thompson dropped to the bench. Keeper Paul Gerrard missed the first game against Weymouth after the birth of his son.
And it's 3-5-2 for Gary Megson's Nottingham Forest. This is a system that Gary favoured a lot at West Bromwich Albion and got him really promoted to the Premiership. I think he's got a lot of trust in this system. I think important members of the side for this are Collett in the middle of that back three. He really is a leader of men and he will attack the ball. But especially, I think you've got to have a look at that midfield three. Southall, Holt and Gardner, they are going to look to play around Weymouth with that spare man in the middle of the park. And then they've got the 2 strikers up front. Taylor very good in the air, and Johnson very quick to get onto the flick-ons.
Well, Gary Hill has great memories of the FA Cup from his time at Dagenham and Redbridge. They so nearly beat Charlton once upon a time. And he's geeing up the crowd. Not that they actually need much geeing up tonight. They are well up for it. There's Martin Harrison, the man who's put plenty of money into this club, allowing them to go full-time. It's the first time Weymouth have reached the first round for 20 years, and having waited so long, they only went and got the biggest club in the draw. they only went and got Nottingham Forest. It doesn't get much bigger or better than this for Weymouth Football Club.
It's fantastic. I think we've got a fantastic atmosphere in, and I think this is what the Cup's all about. I think we're going to have a cracking game tonight, played at a fierce pace, and I'm sure we're going to get some good football. Great atmosphere, and boy, have we been made to feel welcome at Weymouth.
It is a night to savour for Weymouth, a night to remember whatever happens. Just imagine if they want it, and they think they can. Ray Olivier, the referee, is about to blow his whistle. The Wessex Stadium is hosting a record crowd of 6,500. It's a perfect little ground for a big FA Cup tie. Breckin's header, the Forest captain, and it drops for Matt Bound, the Weymouth captain. It's come off Danny Cullop. It will be a throw to the Conference South side, who've won their last 7 games here at the Wessex Stadium. But if anyone can test that record, surely Forest can. It was 1-1 when they met at the City Ground a week ago on Saturday. Here they are again for the right to go to Chester in the next round. And Gary Megson really does need to be there.
Does need to be there, as do Weymouth as well, for financial reasons. Both sides for financial reasons to be in the next round of the Cup. But I think as the league side, you really don't want to get beaten by a non-league side. I've been in this position before, and if people tell you you're not nervous before the game, I think they're telling a few fibs.
There are 66 places between Weymouth and Nottingham Forest in the league structure, but such gaps tend to be seriously reduced in the good old FA Cup. Breckin will meet that. Here's Trevor Chalice. Jackson losing out. And Forest now with David Johnson looking to get going. Here's Perch, who's playing at right wing back. Gary Megson again preferring to play with 3 at the back, as he did at Bournemouth on Saturday.
I think that's what Gary Hill will look at straight away, and Kevin Howes, his assistant, and try and pin them wing backs right back into the back 3 of Nottingham Forest, and we try and make them play deep and play 5 at the back. If they can do that and get their crosses in from deep positions, they'll have a great chance. Booted away by Wes Morgan. Gareth Taylor doing battle with Roy O'Brien, and here's Trevor Chalice now. It's bounced off the boot of Lee Elam. Lee Elam, who is nicknamed Bestie, after the great George, because of the way he plays the game. Steve Tully down the line looking for Steve Clark, a former West Ham youngster, and it's just gone away from him. He took that well in his stride, didn't he? Just the second touch let him down a fraction, got behind, took it on the instep. A la Thierry Henry in his stride, but the second touch took it out of play. There's those Forest crowd in the corner there, 300 or so fans made the long trek, and that's good support for you, isn't it?
And it is a long trek from Nottingham to Weymouth. Elam, who can be, like so many wingers, match winner on his day, and a man who can offer plenty of excitement. He's got a free kick.
You can see Perch was trying to force him inside and force him into the bodies. That 3 in midfield, they'll want to force the wide players inside into the bodies in midfield where Forest are strong. 3 in the middle of midfield.
Skipper Matt Bound and Roy O'Brien, the other centre-half, will join Kurt Jackson there, waiting for this. It's Wilkinson who takes it. Amicably dealt with by Forest, as it turned out, but Weymouth will fancy their chances in those set-piece situations.
And that was Cullip who got his head on it. I think he's going to have such an important part to play today, and I think, you know, he's going to be on the end of those set pieces. He'll put himself up for the battle, Danny Cullip. He'll put his head on it, and he'll really relish a battle like this. And I think it's his job as well to make sure that the people around him relish the job, because if the attitude is slightly down, then I think Weymouth will make them pay.
And Gary Hill took Charlton to an FA Cup replay in his time at Dagenham and Redbridge. And And even Alan Kirbysley might just admit that Charlton were lucky to get a replay out of it. So got to the fourth round where they lost to Norwich. David Johnson and Trevor Challis together.
Just trying to shepherd it out of play. I think Johnson's a shade unlucky there. Sort of the first aerial duel there between Bound and Gareth Taylor. Gareth, centre forward, who likes to rise early, put the defender off his leap. He's got that ability to hang in the air.
Wilkinson. Cullip commanding again. Became a cult hero in his time at Brighton. Moved to Sheffield United, but didn't last there long. Only just returned from injury, and Forest relieved to have him back, but still without a few other notable names who are sidelined. Perch with this throw. It's won by Cullip again. Now Johnson. Tully. Asking a bit too much of Ereben. Breckin has robbed that one into the stand.
Well, three central defenders at the back. I think they'll be marking channel side. They won't want to be turned round. They know that Weymouth will want to play in those channels here and get in deep positions.
Tully's cross met by Cullip. Johnson. Where's Morgan? Towards Gareth Taylor. Now Nicky Southall. Perch for Taylor. And it's gone a long way out of the ground, that, from Matt Bound, who incidentally was at Southampton with Gareth Taylor. They played in the youth team together. And here they are facing each other tonight. Perch's throw. It's come off O'Brien. Gary Holt trying to charge in. Gardner trying to do the same, but Roy O'Brien got it away. Well, they got the ball back.
Found it. Deep in the rough.
Lee Elam. Perch. And he gets some help from Southall. Here's Andy Harris, who scored Weymouth's equaliser in Nottingham with a cracking header. And he has more reasons than most to want to get through to the second round, because his former club, Chester, are the team that the winners tonight will face. Harris towards Jackson, but away by Cullip.
You can see already Forest are defending deep. They're not wanting to be turned round. I think they'll feel better off sort of attacking balls from deep situations. You've got the three big defenders at the back, haven't you? I think they're good at attacking the ball. Morgan, Cullip and Breckin. You won't want to be turned round easy. Defend deep, win your headers, clear your lines, and in that midfield three can pick up the second ball in there and they can go from there. At the moment they're being driven back by Weymouth. They're just planting long balls up there, but it's very difficult to win anything against that back three.
Weymouth have played 2 games since their draw at the City Ground, and they won both of them against Basingstoke and high-flying Welling in the Conference South. Weymouth high-flying themselves now up to 5th. Gary Holt stumbles, and Jackson for Wilkinson. Wilkinson again.
Very congested in there, isn't it? The midfield three getting after the ball, making it difficult for Weymouth to knock it into the striker's feet and get the return balls. Very, very congested. They can drive Forest back, as they have been doing. They've got to get it into their strikers' feet if they can. Not easy.
Skied by Curtis. It's going to drop for Gardner. Curtis will soon be joining him down that side, but Gardner taking on Tully. Steve Tully, who almost quit football 3 years ago. He was rather disillusioned with it when he left Exeter. Rather glad that he stuck with it for a night like this. Curtis's cross. Oh, James Perch is going to come onto this. Southall. Quickly closed down by Andy Harris.
It was a difficult chance for Perch, but it was one wing back to the other. John Curtis playing on that left-hand side. He's naturally right-footed. Come back onto his right foot, got his cross in, and that's the ideal scenario in this team pattern that they've got, the 3-5-2, that one wing back crosses it and the other is on the end of it on the far post.
Taylor for Southall. Holt. Cut out by Elam. And Ray Olivier's touch, the referee, took it away from Kirk Jackson. Free kick going against Gareth Taylor. I think he thought he might have got it himself. Roy O'Brien right behind him.
It must have been for handball, but it looked like it was a little shove in the back. Taylor was coming onto it, he chested it down, and it looked like he got a little nudge in the back to me.
Jackson amongst those waiting then, and O'Brien is the man who will take it. Matt Bound has gone up as a potential target. It's aimed generally in his direction, although Elam is the man who flicked it on. Clark, Jackson, Taylor. The free kick has gone Forest away now for a foul by Jackson on Perch.
That was a good little reverse ball back into the box that Jackson was trying to get onto. And I said what an important role he's going to have to play, Danny Cullett. There's one header away. Reverse ball comes in. Jackson is on his back. Up he gets his header away. That's good defending again, isn't it?
Taylor. His mate, Matt Bound, saw that one coming. Cullett with a forceful challenge on Eriben. Holt for Johnson. Now Nicky Southall. Snuffed out by Tully, or is it? No, it isn't. And they're still going with Curtis. And Gardner. Holt almost sent tumbling by Clark then. Steve Tully has got it away with a little bit of help from Wilkinson. Weymouth have dug it out. Cullett. This is the first time in 55 years that Nottingham Forest have had to enter the FA Cup in the first round. Sign of the times for Forest just now.
That was their first decent break for us, where they had a good ball up to Johnson, a nice little cushion off, but Nicky Southall really didn't see John Curtis going a little bit earlier. If he'd have released it early, he would have been in on goal. Delayed pass allowed Weymouth to get back on him, but that was better from Forest. Up to the target man, and then the midfield players behind.
Ross Gardner making his FA Cup debut tonight. Forest signed him from Newcastle a couple of years ago. Morgan. Johnson for Taylor, and Sean Wilkinson took him out.
Great lead by Johnson. Going backwards, he backed into big bound at the back there, got his header down for Gareth Taylor, and it was the foul, late foul by Wilkinson.
Yeah, I think something's been said here, and Ray Olivier is going to show a card. David Johnson gets a card to match the colour of his shirt.
Johnson had initially laid it off to Gareth Taylor. I think he was complaining on behalf of Gareth Taylor there. It's a silly yellow card for dissent.
Southall, Taylor, Roy O'Brien close by, but it is a corner for Forest.
Should have held that in there, Gareth Taylor. Allowed O'Brien to get the touch away. Look, it's a good ball, working the edge of the penalty area. That touch has got to be better. Should have got that down and really made something of that.
Southall takes, and David Johnson came flying in, and that was a big chance for Forest to take the lead.
Well, having got there ahead of his marker, O'Brien, you can see he really should be hitting his target. O'Brien collides into his own defender, and there you see, he gets the run on him, steals the march, and that should be hitting the target and scoring, I feel. Gary Megson knows it as well.
Forest could have done with that, and Gary Megson could have done with that. Handball there, but there was a foul on Taylor. Gary Megson has taken on one of the toughest jobs in football at the moment, that's for sure. Cunniffe has got his fellow centre-halves Morgan and Breckin to aim for, as well as Taylor. It does go in towards Taylor, who got a little flick. Oh, and it's ended up just wide, but it was nervous there for Weymouth with Morgan involved.
Well, they drove a little bit deep. They get really deep on it. There's a slight touch from Taylor. It looks like a corner kick for me. That goes away. A couple of defenders getting a touch on it. You see Gareth Taylor backing into the defender. O'Brien gets his touch and just goes away for a corner, but they can't be driven as deep as that. Up to the keeper and the central defenders to keep them pushed up.
Taylor helps that on to John Curtis, who's been out injured since August. His first appearance since then. He has been on the bench lately, but not used. Gary Holt bravely went in, where he did catch the boot of Wilkinson. Well, it's typical of this man, but this hurt.
Well, he puts his head down there. You can see he goes into the challenge here. And down goes the head. The foot is up. The referee should have given a foul, I think, when it's up that high above waist high. But he won't duck out of any challenge, will he, Gary Holt? I think Forest are just getting to grips with the game, aren't they? First 10 minutes or so, they was rocked back and they was pinned back a bit by Weymouth, but now they've just started to get the ball into their strikers. And this is the challenge for Gary Holt again, just ducking into it and catches it on the top of the head.
There's no fear, Gary Holt, but looks very uncomfortable there. Man who scored against Weymouth at the City Ground. So some concern for Gary Megson about Gary Holt's condition. More football to come this week. England's under-21s are in France for their playoff on Sky Sports 1 tomorrow at 7:30. And then we're with England's under-19s as they take on their Swiss counterparts Wednesday at 7, Sky Sports 1.
You see how difficult it is to get your foot on the ball. The ball's been in the air an awful long time. Very competitive players on both sides. Forest not wanting to get beat by a non-league team, and non-league Weymouth really want to get one over on Forest. It's very, very competitive out there, and I don't think it's any different than you would expect in the first 20 minutes of a cup game.
Weymouth are known as the Terrors after the colour of their terracotta kit. Cullip clears. Southall. Jason Matthews kick. Aimed towards Lee Elam. David Johnson, not a happy man again. Jackson's flip for Elam, who was given a little bump by Gary Holt just after he had released it. Weymouth's throw.
Not really getting any joy with the balls up to the strikers, not really dropping it into the strikers' feet. Everything's up around their neck, and it's making it hard work for the strikers up front. Jackson and Ereben at the moment against that defensive three. They've got a lot to drop it in. Defenders from the back not really hit it right up around their necks.
Tully, Ereben. Lekin made the challenge. Wilkinson for Ereben again. We'll settle for another throw. Wilkinson, away by Brecken. Johnson and Southall, and that's a foul by Chalice.
Again, they're dealing with that first ball well, Forest. Anything coming in, they've been first to the ball, dealing with that first ball, and then generally the midfield three are first onto that second ball in there, and they're just hooking it on. Trying to get over this first 20-25 minutes to get a foothold in the game. Try and play their own football. So far, I've been hearing scary stuff, and both teams are really frightened to make a mistake at the moment.
This now. Well, Weymouth are ready to ask questions here at the midway point of the first half.
Let's see if they can get any change in this Forest back three. Sending the big centre-backs up. Grinds up, bounds up to supplement that attack. They really want to get their head on this ball first, but it depends on the delivery, of course, doesn't it? Give them something to attack. Wilkinson is going to be with this in-swinger.
Wilkinson does indeed deliver towards Matt Bound. But Forest not too troubled.
Wasn't deep enough, has to be deeper than that. Bound had to come back to get a flick on that one. And again, Forest still with a second ball. Delivery has to be better.
Steve Tully will take this. Chalice stepped away from Southall. Johnson had a nibble, and a free kick will be given for Johnson's challenge. The referee was waiting to see if Weymouth might have progressed.
Johnson again already had a yellow card, but there was nothing malicious in that one. Didn't warrant a yellow card, but much of an angle for this free kick. I want to try and get the big boys on the far post. Wilkinson again addressing it, maybe coming from right to left.
Wilkinson, away by Breckin, and then by Taylor. Elam for Chalice. Oh, Wilkinson has lost it. Almost fouled Gardner, but the referee playing the advantage, and Holtz unable to capitalise. Gareth Taylor had actually gone down the right.
And Taylor was to his right, and Johnson was more central. I think he was trying to find Curtis out on that left-hand side. He only had to slide it down either side for the strikers.
Chucky Ereben, who started his career at Coventry, where he played for Gordon Strachan, but there were a few decent strikers ahead of him in the queue there. Dion Dublin and Bobby Keane and Darren Huckabee and John Aloisi at the time. Cullip gets help from Breckin. A collision between Harris and Southall. Nobody ahead of David Johnson. Well, all non-league sides, when they play league clubs, like to get through the first 20-25 minutes without too many scares, and Weymouth have done so.
I think it's likewise for Forest tonight, though. And I think that first and foremost, Gary Megson set out really not to make any mistakes, and you know, this back three or back five, whatever way you want to look at it, has dealt with that first ball very well. So I think both managers, they seem strange, will be quite pleased with the first 26 minutes or so. You don't want to be making silly errors and be chasing the game. They don't look very happy, the pair of them, but I'm sure they're quite happy at the moment.
Nottingham Forest have already lost to a non-league side this season at Woking in the LDV, but Gary Megson did put out a reserve side in that game. No such chances being taken tonight against Weymouth, who have ambition and have money as well. They went full-time in the summer in an effort to quickly escape the Conference South and make it into the Conference proper. And they'll be hoping the Football League is their next port of call, where they could renew acquaintance with their fierce rivals, Yeovil Town. Well, Matt Bound is the tallest man there, just, and he made it his. Gardner gets the throw.
It really has been an aerial battle, isn't it? They're slinging it in there, Forest. Weymouth are doing likewise. Both teams will maybe just play a little bit more, just be a little bit braver when they do get the ball and try and get it down and make a few passes. It's very, very difficult on a night like tonight. So much at stake. And you've got to be brave. You've got to be brave and try and get it down. We're nearly half hour into the game. I think now's the time that, particularly Forest, should be getting it down and playing.
Not only would Forest be rather glad to reach the second round of this famous competition, they'll be rather glad to get home as well. They've been on the south coast for a long weekend, having played at Bournemouth on Saturday. They kept their base in Bournemouth before travelling down to Weymouth today. Tully's throw, met by Breckin. Trevor Chalice for Lee Elam. Harris, Holt picking it up, but Wilkinson leaves it for O'Brien. Chucky Ereben might have been offside had he bothered to go for that.
Whelan's got to keep it. When the ball comes out wide to him there, he's got to get get the ball, get turning, get running at Perch in this right wing-back spot. You know, take on that responsibility. Going back inside into the bodies where Forest have the numerical advantage, that's no good. Get it wide and keep it out wide.
Johnson again leaping well. Scooped clear by O'Brien. And it pops off the head of Perch. David Johnson was linked with a move to Hull recently. Ereben out of Perch. Chalice with his throw. Back by Bound. Half an hour played. His FA Cup first round replay. The Wessex Stadium on the south coast. Taylor. Southall. Cullip there again for Forest, as he often has been so far tonight. John Curtis now. Johnson takes over. Oh, he's been caught. Weymouth have got Steve Tully down as well, but there was a nasty lunge on Johnson, which has brought Forest a free kick.
Yeah, I think the referee made the right decision to stop play there. You could immediately see that Tully had got a nasty knock, you could see. And although Forest had a good advantage, I think he done very well to just stop it, because he see that the injury was serious straight away.
Steve Tully was one of 5 players starting tonight who were rested against Welling on Saturday. They have the kind of squad at the moment to do that, Weymouth, in full time. Incidentally, Gary Hill has brought in a couple of new strikers, Craig O'Connor and Danny Shipp, in the past couple of weeks. Shipp, in fact, on Friday. He scored against Welling, but neither of those two eligible to play in the FA Cup. Morgan. Well, Johnson showing interest, and he's got the better of O'Brien. This could be promising. Johnson's cross, and Trevor Chalice just nipped it away from Nicky Southall.
That's good strength from Johnson, wasn't it? Shaking off the challenge. I think he was a little bit early with the cross, though, as John Curtis was going around his outside.
Breckin's cross, Taylor with the header, but it's not going to trouble Matthews.
Good jump, good leap from Gareth Taylor, but trying to score from 18 yards out with the header. That's a good high line held by Weymouth.
O'Brien. Ereben. O'Brien charging in on David Johnson. Southall. It's going to go through to Jason Matthews in the Weymouth goal, who a couple of years ago came on as a sub for Exeter against Everton in the FA Cup, made some great saves in a game that finished 0-0. Of course, there has to be a winner tonight, whether it's in 90 minutes, 120, or in a penalty shootout.
There hasn't been many chances early on, Ian. Could be going the whole way, I think. Very, very tight game between the two sides.
Second game in 3 days for both sides, and ironically Weymouth were able to rest more players in their match than Nottingham Forest could. They could afford to anyway. Bound challenging Taylor, who felt he was fouled. Elam. Chalice. Eriben for Harris. Harris for Chalice. Oh, they're certainly zipping the passes around Weymouth.
That's better, that's their best passing sequence. Now they've got it out wide. Now keep it out in those wide positions. I think that's food and drink. As soon as you do that, food and drink to that Forest back three. Again, that could have gone down that side, kept it down the side in the wide area, get it into feet into the winger, or just get it into the striker down the channel side. As soon as you go on the diagonal, I think it's food and drink. Just chipping high balls into that back three, they'll love it.
I'm sure Gary Hill was thinking the same.
He may have said it in a different manner though, Ian, I think.
Southall. Perch. Time to deliver. And Gareth Taylor's header drifts out for a Weymouth throw. 10 minutes to half-time. Jackson flicked it on, so did Eriben. There's Harris. Tully. Clark. He's taking on Curtis. Steve Clark. For Steve Tully. And Harris was challenging. Jackson couldn't settle. Elam. I don't think they nicknamed him Bestie for that somehow.
It was better down that right-hand side though, wasn't it, Ian? Tully and Clark. At last, Tully fed Clark and he got at the full-back, or the wing-back in John Curtis, and really, they got their cross in from a deeper position. That's what they've got to do. Got to be a little bit braver, feed these wingers, drive them back, get their crosses in from deeper positions. Because when they're going on diagonals from around the halfway line, as I said, it's food and drink for the back three. But if the crosses are behind you and from deeper, it's so much harder to deal with.
Gareth Taylor's feeling that some of these free kicks could go his way. But Ray Olivier was having none of it.
He knew he was just waiting for O'Brien to come in and try to get a little bit clever on it, didn't he, Gareth Taylor?
By Taylor to Johnson, who gets the free kick. A foul by Andy Harris, who began his career at Liverpool. Used to clean Neil Ruddock's boots there, and Ruddock, in fact, sponsors his kit this season.
It's a bit small, that kit. Razor don't wear it.
Jackson. Morgan in his way, and Cullen will go back to Gerrard. Weymouth's last great FA Cup run came some 23 years ago when they beat Cardiff City at Ninian Park in the second round. 2-0 down, came back to win 3-2, but they lost in the third round to Cambridge United, who were flying quite high at the time in the second division, as it was then. That's a handball surely from Taylor. It's not been given. Southall. Steve Clark benefiting. Curtis's error, and here's Chucky Eriben. Oh, foot of the post, denies Weymouth the lead. Chucky Eriben.
Well, it's the first chance Lee Clark's had to have a run, and that's because it was off a break from Nottingham Forest, and he ran the length of the pitch and got his cross in well, very well. Good strength from Harry Ben, but just came off that post. Unlucky, wasn't it? It's a great run from Lee Clark, must have been 60, 70 yards. Gets his cross in, Harry Ben does well, makes contact with Danny Cullip, shrugs him off the ball, gets his left foot shot away, near post, comes off the foot of the post. That's unlucky. That's their best attempt at goal. And it's ironic, really, because Forest weren't really behind the ball, because it was from a Forest attack that they counter-attacked. First chance the wide man's had to run.
Well, Curtis has got to deal with this because Jackson put the pressure on. It's a foul, and not much doubt about it.
Good body strength from Harry Bent to shrug Danny Cullip off. Gets the shot in through the legs of Danny Cullip, and I think there's a slight touch on it as well, isn't there? It's a great save. Just the fingertips, just get to the ball.
Here is Ereben. Elam making moves for Weymouth. But Wes Morgan has grappled it back. Wilkinson takes over though, just couldn't feed Elam again. Taylor. Roy O'Brien with the challenge, but here's Perch. Straight through to Matthews.
Just the last couple of minutes, game has become a little bit stretched. Hopefully that's a good omen for the second half. We've seen Elam on the ball, Clark on the other side, and at last the game's getting a little bit stretched. Maybe we'll have a little bit of that in the second half, because it's so tight, the game, hasn't it?
Well, Chucky Ereben is only playing here and only played in the first match at the City Ground because the normal first choice, Wayne Purser, has a rather nasty eye infection. You have to feel for him missing out on these memorable games for Weymouth. Danny Cullip having to lob that one out of the ground. New ball required. Back bound, Gary Holt. Well, Bound gets another chance. Doesn't really take it at all.
Get back there, big centre-back. Get back where you needed. Just needed a deft little reverse ball in there, didn't it? From Bound, but just came off the end of his toe.
Jackson. Elam. Chalice to his left. Elam again.
Better stuff again from Weymouth, just trying to get down these flanks. That's good signs just at the end of this first half.
Chalice logs it in there, but Paul Gerrard will have that.
Good take by Gerrard. But that is a good sign, just getting down these flanks more. Full-backs feeding the wingers, that's what they've got to do. Keep it on the wide sides and then get those crosses in from deeper, because that has given Forest problems.
Paul Gerrard, who got to the semi-finals of the FA Cup with Oldham Athletic a good few years ago. That famous late goal from Mark Hughes got United out of trouble. Gardner's racing onto this, but Tully stayed cool. Last minute of the first half. Weymouth have come closest to scoring. seriously over the moon, as they say in football, to go in ahead at half-time. Be more than happy with a goalless scoreline too. Forest haven't bothered Jason Matthews too often.
No, been a game of few chances in this first half. It's a very, very tight game. Just feeling that second half. We've just seen signs at the end of the first that it can space out. They've just got to have that little bit of quality, Weymouth, if those chances arise again. Good strike from Ereben. Unlucky save by Gerrard, just the fingertips onto the post. That's the closest we've come. The Forest haven't really created anything as yet, but I'm sure with a little bit more quality in the second half, when it does space out, they must create a chance or two.
2 minutes added on in this first half. This South Coast seaside resort has been seriously gripped by cup fever over the last week. Southall sending it swirling towards David Johnson. And Johnson has held off Tully, but his cross clears Taylor. Chalice now to Elam. With an extra perch.
There's only one man in the box. Johnson got his cross in, but one of those midfield players has to break, one of the three. At the moment, the three are sitting deep. One has to break in the box to make up the second striker, because trying to pick out one when one of the strikers has gone wide is nigh on impossible.
Curtis being chased by Clark, and that's come off. Well, I thought it came off Clark, so did Curtis, but it's a Weymouth throw. Decided that Andy Harris will come across and lob one in, as it could well be the last chance of the half. Met by Gary Holt. It's going to be a Weymouth corner if they have time.
We've got 2 seconds to get it in.
Just imagine if they score here. There'll be a few imagining it right now. Wilkinson takes. Jackson, no time. Should have gone straight in. Well, Gary Hill knows a thing or two about the FA Cup from his time with Dagenham and Redbridge. And his Weymouth team are doing fine here. They might have been doing even better. Chucky Ereben hit the post. But at half-time in this FA Cup first round replay at the Wessex Stadium, it's Weymouth 0, Nottingham Forest 0.
Goalless at half-time. The thoughts of the former Weymouth player-manager Steve Claridge. In a moment, those Weymouth cheers dying in their throats. Chucky's unlucky as Ereben comes agonisingly close to putting the non-leaguers in front.
One of the biggest games in European football, with some of the biggest names in world football. As the race for La Liga heats up, will it be Los Galacticos or the Catalonian Giants? In association with San Miguel, Real Madrid-Barcelona, Saturday 6:30, Sky Sports 2.
Survival depends on the ability to evolve. Introducing the most advanced Mondeo yet. The new 2005 Mondeo. Evolution is beautiful.
Everyone loves Soccer AM. Join Tim, Helen and the crew in this exclusive DVD. Find out who they think are the 10 greatest players of the last 10 years. Packed with great football action, showboats, third eye and greatest goals. It's hilarious, it's exclusive, it's a right touch. Give Soccer AM 2 to someone you love.
The Because we go through up to 30 pairs of glasses in a lifetime, buy one pair at Boots Opticians and get a second free.
Is this a help desk?
Yes.
We need some help.
With what?
It's our prototype?
Forget prototypes.
How do we test our new design?
Virtual simulations, on-demand supercomputing.
We're a small company. That sounds expensive.
It's not. That's expensive.
Yeah, that is expensive. Hey, can we get a ride somewhere?
Sierra Oscar 298.
Please stay where you are.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, should we go somewhere a little quieter?
Oh, no, standing there would be good.
New Foster's Super Chilled. Well, you wouldn't want a warm beer, would you?
If you get a cold sore, don't hide away. Nothing works faster than Zavirax cold sore cream.
Wait till you see this.
Freddie's personal account of his sensational Ashes performance and the best action from his career so far.
Freddie Flintoff himself.
With exclusive interviews and action behind the scenes. Plus, his personal selection of the greatest cricket ever. The official Andrew Flintoff DVD, Freddie. Buy it now.
HMV Offer of the Week Pro Evolution Soccer 5 just $27.99 with an additional 10 new licensed clubs including Arsenal, Chelsea, Rangers and Celtic. Upgraded controls and all the latest moves and tricks. Console football just got closer to the real thing. Pro Evolution Soccer 5 $27.99 for this week only at HMV. Top dog for Christmas gifts.
You're one step ahead with Web & Walk. Get the internet wherever you are. Web & Walk, new from T-Mobile.
International football coming up here on Sky Sports this week. Big game for Peter Taylor's under-21 side. They go to France, one apiece after the first leg of their playoff game, remember. It's live on Sky Sports 1 from 7:30 tomorrow. On Wednesday, the England under-19s take on their Swiss counterparts. That's on Sky Sports 1 at 7. And in the Sky Sports Victory Shield, Northern Ireland's under-16s can win the trophy if they can beat the Welsh under-16s. You can see it live, Sky Sports 2, 7:30. No goals so far at the Wessex Stadium in the game between Conference Southside Weymouth and the one-time giants Nottingham Forest. Steve Claridge is my guest here, former Weymouth player-manager. Steve, that hasn't often looked as if there was 3 divisions between these sides.
It hasn't looked at all, has it? I mean, there's been very little in the game. Forest surprisingly negative. I mean, they really are. It's almost damage limitation at this stage, and you know, they've come in the 3-5-2, and it's almost played as a 5-3-2. What the problem is that when they have pushed the 2 wing backs on, Weymouth have threatened to get in behind, so they're in a little bit of a catch-22. But it's certainly not a lot between them, as you say.
We said before the game that Gary Hill would probably be happy to be level at half-time, but in actual fact, he's now going to be thinking they're unfortunate not to be in front. Paul Gerrard's fingertips stopping them taking the lead.
In the end, it was a great save because it's come through Danny Cullip's legs. I mean, it's a great break. Got to say that. Pick the ball up on the edge of the box. He just keeps going, Clark. Got good pace. You know, he's running with the ball and he's quicker than Gary Holt. Puts it in and Danny Cullip thinks he can win it. He can't. Gets up. And that's one of those through the keepers, through the legs. And the keeper has to make an instant reaction sort of save, because he doesn't get full sight of the ball. And in the end, as you say, it's fingertips and it's a super save to keep them level.
Clark saw desperately little of the ball in the early stage, but there's just been one or two moments that have suggested he could trouble the defence, and there you can see Gary Hills. And he's right. They have hit the post. Be hoping to go one better than that in the second half. I mean, he will be encouraged by the fact that, by and large, his defence have taken good care of David Johnson and Gareth Taylor. Just the one moment of panic.
Yeah, I mean, and that wasn't even in free play, was it? I mean, I think this is from a corner. The lad actually stumbles who's marking him. I think it's O'Brien. And he actually stumbles in front of him. And I think Johnson, when he actually heads it, doesn't realise the space he's got, because he's trying to direct it. And really, all he's got to do is hit the target and take it from there. So I think even he was a little bit surprised.
So does Gary Megson need to tell his side to be more positive in the second half?
I mean, as I say, if they are, they're going to leave themselves at times exposed down the wings, because they're playing that. They've got the wing back against the full back and the winger. And Weymouth at this stage have got good pace in Elam and Clark. They look to counter-attack quickly. So it's a difficult one to, it's still another half to go. I'm sure he's not going to want to be too exuberant, but he's certainly going to need to be more positive. I think the two boys up front, Johnson and Taylor, certainly going to have to play a bit closer together.
OK, goalless first 45 minutes, and Weymouth's FA Cup dream is still very much alive. A capacity crowd here this evening, and it's a very welcoming place. Oh, even to the likes of me.
Conduct a forensic examination of celebrities who became victims of their own fame. Death by Excess, Hollywood Gods, Thursday at 9 on Sky One.
Hey up, new neighbours. Suppose better go and say hello. OK. You all right? So you've got the new Safari then? Yeah, brand new. Fancy butchers. Glass roof. Overhead storage. Sat-nav keeps him out of trouble.
My mother bought us that.
Overtired.
All new Zafira from Vauxhall.
Even close up, hair colour should look natural. That's why Just for Men with X-Grey Science targets only the grey hair, replacing it with subtle tones that match your own colour. In 5 easy minutes, hair looks natural, no matter how close up she gets. Just for Men, the Rejuvenator.
Everyone loves Billy Connolly.
I've come disguised as a much older man.
The Master is back.
Isn't it brilliant?
His first new live DVD for 3 years.
One of the most awful things I ever saw in my life. And yet...
Billy Connolly, live in New York.
Funny.
Everyone loves Billy Connolly, so give the DVD to someone you love.
Hi, I'm Adam. I've met a girl. She's now my girlfriend. Well, not a girl exactly. She's a grown woman with 2 kids. I'm pretty certain they've all moved in with me. Somehow I'm back doing homework.
Go wireless with BT Broadband, and you're free to use the internet anywhere in your home.
Finished. Anyway, I think it's bringing us all closer together.
I found our tune.
To get wireless BT Broadband from $17.99, call 0800 317 316 now.
Play as man, play as Kong. Play Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie.
I'm not here to warn you. No, that would be hypocritical. All I'm saying is, be careful. It may look small, but it's extremely powerful. And once you're in, you're gonna struggle to find a way out. The new Sony Walkman.
You have to block the keeper. And you have to believe you can score. My life is about keeping one step ahead. That's why my card is American Express.
Alberto VO5 Extreme Style. Break the mould.
If you park near trees, you'll know the problem. The thing is, bird poo's acidic and corrodes the paintwork, so get it off immediately. If it's gone hard, cover it with a warm, damp cloth. Go and have a cup of tea. Come back and wipe it off. Easy.
Everyone is going.
I love when they do that.
To Hogwarts' biggest event, the Triwizard Tournament. It's time to join in the celebration of the year. Excellent! Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
What's happening to us?
I don't know.
Threshold starts Wednesday at 9, Sky One.
Coming up, further cricket coverage of England's tour of Pakistan. It's day 4 tomorrow morning. You can see it live on Sky Sports 2 at 4:15. It's fantastically poised as well. For those of you who can't quite clamber out of your bed at that time of day, you can see highlights at 4:30 in the afternoon on Sky Sports 2 and then again at 8. Goalless here so far at the Wessex Stadium. It's Weymouth of the Conference South holding the, one-time European champions Nottingham Forest 0-0 at the interval, and you haven't been able to tell much of a difference between the two sides. I just wonder if Gary Hill will be encouraging his side to use more width to try and drive in those low centres in the second half, Steve, because some of the earlier lofted stuff were meat and drink to the big central defenders of Forest, the Danny Cullips.
Yeah, I mean, when they do get the ball wide, they've got to give it a little bit more quality. I mean, that's probably the same for both sides. Forest in particular have got to get more men into the box. We've seen once or twice when Johnson's got wide, there hasn't been a midfielder that's broken into the box.
Well, you think they need to change their shape completely?
I think they need to match up against Weymouth and go, right, this is 4-4-2 against 4-4-2. On paper we should have 11 better players than you, and then after that we'll see how it goes. They look a little bit lopsided to me at this stage, particularly with Curtis playing wing back on the left.
Because certainly in the latter stages, and only probably in the latter stages of that first half, it was Weymouth who had the upper hand. They looked to be the side that were on a bit of a roll.
Yeah, certainly finished the half better, but you can't pick a winner at this stage because neither side really have gone out, all out to win this game. So it'll be interesting to see the attitude that both sides take out in this second half. Hopefully, I mean, it's got to be a far more open game, hasn't it?
I mean, looking at that Forest front too, again, David Johnson and Gareth Taylor, so often they seem to be on different wavelengths, but mentally
apart
and physically.
Absolutely miles apart. I mean, we saw one instance where I think Johnson won the ball on the edge of the box, and Taylor's, he's got to say, hey, I expect him to win it, and if he does, I'm going to anticipate where that ball drops. But he hasn't, he's just stood still, and I think in the end he finished up apologising. But they're the opportunities when you're close together, you've got to play as a partnership. And too many times, because they haven't had the support, and they haven't had the men getting in front, getting it past them at times, they've had to go and do jobs on their own, and it's left them very isolated, and they haven't, as a pair, worked together.
It's on a knife edge at half-time. Here come Gary Megson's Nottingham Forest side. Everything to do still. Weymouth 0, Forest 0. Let's rejoin Tony Gale and Ian Crocker.
And Forest are going to make a change at the start of the second half, with John Thompson waiting to come on. Now, he is the mother of all utility players. I've seen him play right back, left back, right midfield, central midfield and left midfield. He's taking the place of Gary Holt.
We'll probably go midfield then. We think. But I think Forest have got to be a little bit more adventurous in this half. They've got to go and win this cup tie. Cup ties have to have a winner. They've got to go and do it. I think that those three in midfield, they're playing straight in a line in that first half. If Thompson goes in there and makes the third man up again, then I think one of them has got to break forward, get in between the strikers, get in the box. They've got to be more positive. It looks like they're sticking to the same formation, so someone has got to get into support of those two strikers. One of those midfield three has got to break.
Well, it might well be Thompson who does that. Gary Holt suffering from concussion after that knock he took in the first half. So it's Weymouth who start the second half. A false start, though. They'll have to do it all over again. These two teams have met once before, 20 years ago in a friendly across at the old recreation ground here when Brian Clough's Forest won 5-2. No sign of a goal yet tonight in this FA Cup first round replay, but there has to be a winner tonight, one way or another. And a trip to Keith Curle's Chester is the prize for the winners in round 2. Taylor muscling in and holding off Wilkinson's challenge. Curtis in towards Johnson. And Johnson now trying to find Nicky Southall, but Trevor Chalice there for Weymouth. Harris, Elam chasing, and Ereben there, but Danny Cullip aware.
Good covering by Danny Cullip. He was going to try and hit the long ball over once they set play up. He got himself a couple of yards head start on Ereben.
On by Jackson, hoisted away by Wes Morgan. Chalice, Harris, sliced into the air by Perch. Certainly spun a bit. Ereben. A rather tame effort.
A little bit optimistic, turning away on the half volley. The Ereben there. He'd have been buoyed by that shot. At the end of that first half, they hit the post, knowing that he can get the better of Cullip. If maybe the ball's on the floor, use that upper body strength to wriggle and get his shots away.
Taylor won it. The last 2 decades haven't been too kind to Weymouth, but before that they were one of the leading non-league clubs, and they certainly have some decent players. The likes of Andy Townsend, Sean Teal, Tony Agana, Graham Roberts. Some bloke called Claridge played here. Breckin, the Forest skipper who helped Wigan win promotion to the Premiership. It's a foul by Matt Bann on Gareth Taylor. Thompson switching it to Curtis. Breckin. Helped on by Gardner for Johnson. Curtis, Andy Harris with a firm challenge.
It was a great tackle, wasn't it? Ball ran loose from John Curtis and he was well in there, and very good challenge.
Oh, it's Nicky Southall. It might have been in, but quick reaction from Jason Matthews.
A bit of a mix-up there, wasn't it? Tully and O'Brien, just through the legs. Both were out well.
Chalice. Elam. And still. Steve Clark supporting. Thompson for Taylor. And they kept it in, but nearly set it up for Trevor Chalice. Matt Bound. Jackson. This is Weymouth's 6th game in the FA Cup this season. They had to go through most of the qualifying rounds, seeing off Weston-super-Mare, Bath City and Cambridge United.
So even if David Johnson had brought that ball down, there was no support whatsoever. The three in midfield are sitting like three in a line. Very, very difficult, and it's easy for the midfield too of Weymouth to mark the 3 because no one's breaking. I think there should be more of a definition on it. 1 holds and 2 goes, or 2 hold and 1 plays in the hole, because at the moment it's just the 2 targets up front that are being marked very easily at the moment by Weymouth, by a back 4. If 1 breaks from midfield, then it will drive one of the Weymouth midfield players back, and then the game will open up a bit. But the 3 are just sitting in front of the 3 behind them, and really no one breaking it, making or asking any questions of Weymouth what to do.
There'll be a slight delay because we've got a streaker on the pitch, and believe me, you don't want to see him. Cold night and all. Steve Tully wants the ball now, and we can get going. It's been a beautiful sunny day in Weymouth, but it's a very cold night. Hardly streaking weather, really.
One to keep wrapped up, I think.
Kirk Jackson for Wilkinson. Harry Ben has Danny Cullett for company. And that usually is fairly formidable company.
Just clears his lines. He doesn't try to get too clever in the corners, Danny Cullett. Plays way out of trouble, but he has marked well, and they have got him behind. He's marked very well and cleared his lines every time.
Tully pings it in there, and Wes Morgan having to power it behind for a Weymouth corner.
Well, that was a great cross. Look, takes it nice and early on the half volley. That's a brilliant cross. And it's good defending by Morgan back in front of his keeper. But that's a super half volley cross.
Wilkinson out by Taylor. Comes back to Sean Wilkinson, who will try again. Took a little nick off Southall and gathered by Gerrard. He lost his place in the team not so long ago when Russell Holt came in on loan from West Brom. Got it back though when Holt was recalled. Johnson. There's Thompson on for the concussed Holt, and Jack Lester was doing a fair bit of warming up at half-time as well. So we might see him at some point. That's going to be a yellow card for Sean Wilkinson. Have some of that, Ross Gardner.
Well, that was better because Gardner got in behind Wilkinson and he made himself a target short of the strikers, so Curtis could go in to Gardner rather than going directly into the strikers. Consequently, Wilkinson has to turn, get back on his opposite man in midfield, and eventually makes the foul. That's what they want to be doing, turning those midfield players round instead of playing straight lines in that midfield.
Sean Wilkinson joins David Johnson in the book. Southall swirling it in, and Matthews punching as Morgan closed in. Breckin's throw. Morgan's done well to get that in for Taylor.
Well left by Bound. He really knew where his goal was there to pull his foot away from that one. Morgan does very well. Doesn't give up the lost calls. Gets it in. Then Bound pulls his foot away. He knows exactly where that near post is, and it goes wide. Good effort from Gareth Taylor because he's going back to head it, get it back across goal. Oh, left by Bound.
Here is Taylor. Forest strikers have more competition now after Gary Megson won the race to sign Nathan Tyson from Wickham. Although he can't play tonight, of course. He'll certainly come in handy in League One. Taylor, away by O'Brien, on by Jackson, back by Cullett. Johnson looked forlornly at the referee, and Tully skipped away from Gardner. Steve Clark. Jackson. Tully's continued running, hooked out by Curtis.
That's the way in down the flanks. Tully getting in advance of Clark there, and you can see if you work the ball, work the flanks, you'll get 2-on-1 situations against that, or should we say 5 at the back of Forest. You've got to get your wide men and your full back working in tandem, get down there and get those 2-on-1 situations.
Tully's throw for Ereben. Harris. Chalice. Curtis. Powered back by Harris for Clark. Wilkinson. Collett. Perch. The last time Nottingham Forest were taken to a replay by non-league opponents in the FA Cup was 1959. They beat Tooting and Mitcham and ended up winning the FA Cup that year. I'm sure most Forest fans watching won't be thinking that might be an omen for this year. Flag up against Ereben. Forest are going to bring on Jack Lester soon. Taylor. It's a record crowd at the Wessex Stadium, 6,500, 300 fans from Forest. They were offered 500 but didn't take up their entire allocation. Thompson. And that might be a free kick. Trevor Chalice.
Right in front of the Forest bench, and they're all up in arms about it. They just had a flick out, didn't they?
Trevor Chalice was a very promising player at QPR, but suffered a really bad knee injury in his teenage years. Never really recovered from that. Collett. Plenty on it. Matthews would have got the free kick, but he'd just be allowed to get on with it. Wilkinson. And Elam is in there, but Morgan steered it away.
That was really a good, bad one from Wilkinson. He was aiming wide and nearly found the central there.
Tiny from Tully, but not when it came to the pass. Weymouth have put together a 13-match unbeaten run, rising up the Conference South and progressing in the FA Cup to the first round. First time they've got that far for 20 years, in a long old wait. And they managed to get the glamour tie of the round. Nottingham Forest.
When Paul Gerrard gets the ball, he's throwing it out to the wing-backs. I'd like to see those centre-backs split. There's 3, marking 2 strikers. Let those strikers move about, get the centre-backs wider, get on the ball, and then the wing-backs can push up the pitch. But at the moment, they're dropping deep, getting the ball. And it's not getting any support to those strikers at all.
Tully now. It's going to come back to Wilkinson, and he was snuffed out by Gardner. Elam. Chalice. Elam will get the free kick in a decent position, called by Gardner.
He wanted the foul, he got it. Gardner obliged, showed him the ball, took it away. Now gives him a free kick in a dangerous position.
Well, David Johnson is coming off, and he won't need telling that he should have scored to put Forest ahead in the first half. A header that flashed wide with a goal gaping. Johnson replaced by Jack Lester, who scored 3 goals in the first 3 games of this season, but not a lot since. A set piece that gives Weymouth hope. Wilkinson floating it in. Gerrard had to take out his own man Taylor to get to that. Chalice. Looked like Forest might break out, but they're not going to. And Perch has to whack that out before Wilkinson can get near it.
Good keeping from Gerrard. Gareth Taylor was coming back to defend to get his header away, but you have to clear everything. Give it the kitchen sink, and he did. Got his fist to the ball and got it away. Doesn't matter if it's your own defender or striker back there defending, everything's got to go.
Jackson. Clark. Tully now. Clark for Eriben, who's spun away from Breckin. Wilkinson. Elam. And Eriben didn't make a connection, but Forest give it away to Clark. Tully's cross. Eriben. Thompson getting involved. It's a pretty good spell this for the non-leaguers of Weymouth. Elam.
That's a good spell. They've got to keep that pressure on now. Keep the pressure on. Keep Forest penned in. There's a decent chance there, I thought. I think Eriben got across his marker and had a fresh air shot, if you like. There's a cross from Elam come in.
Taylor. Jack Lester just on. And the free kick. A high boot given against Wilkinson, who was a versatile player at Brighton not so long ago. I remember him playing up front with Bobby Zamora on one occasion when we saw them. Taylor, handball. Now it's Forest's turn.
Let's see the quality on this one. Nicky Southall is a good deliverer of the ball. We've just seen one good one. They've really got to drive them deep. This is the secret to this one. Drive those defenders deep.
Southall whipping it in, but was knocked away by Roy O'Brien. Less said about that. Curtis, the better. It's been a tough 2005 for Gary Megson, who was briefly a Nottingham Forest player. Feeling the heat after relegation from the Championship. She only lost one of their last 10 matches in League One. That was not far from here, actually, at Weymouth's local rivals, Yeovil.
Struggling Forest, aren't they? They are struggling to get the ball down and pass it. I'm sure that they are better than this. Can't put it all down to nerves and being afraid to be beaten by a non-league side, but they haven't really got it down and passed it all night. There should be at least little 5-minute spells where they assert themselves, and you know, it's obviously they're the better individual players. They should be getting on the ball and passing the ball and really moving Weymouth about, but it hasn't happened for them tonight. And the longer it goes, the more you fear for them.
Weymouth are going to make their first change soon. The longer it goes on, the more they will fancy their chances of a major giant killing in this illustrious competition that has had so many giant killings through the years.
Well, and normally at this stage of the game, when you're playing a non-league side, you start to get the upper hand because you've got the fitness. But don't know. Weymouth full-time, they'll have just as much fitness now. And I think that's the difference when you're playing these sides now. You can see they're just as quick, just as eager to get around the ball as Forest, and the pace is unrelenting from them. So I can't see them folding at all. I think Forest have really just got to try and get hold of the ball.
O'Brien up towards Elam. It's won by Perch. O'Brien's going to have to do that again. He does. Wilkinson. Oh, offside against Chucky Ereben.
He got him behind. I think Brecken stepping up for offside. It's very, very close, isn't it? And he just, the linesman, quick to give it.
Perch. Southall chasing. We got to it, and Gareth Taylor surely fires Forest in front. They knew the potential pitfalls of this tie, but Gareth Taylor, who had a lone spell here at Weymouth 13 years ago, has come back to haunt them.
Well, it's just a lapse in concentration. It's a long ball, and I think they give it up. They think it's going out, but the two defenders bound. Just gives it up, and Chalice as well. Southall chases down the lost calls, and there you see the fullback doesn't go in as well. So it's a total lapse of concentration. Both fullbacks and bound switch off. Southall chases the lost calls, gets it in, and Gareth Taylor really has a simple task, although he does take it well to his credit. But even Tully, you can see, had switched off on the cover, and he thought the ball was going out as well. But all credit to Nicky Southall. He really did chase down the lost calls and got that cross in very well.
Well, Gareth Taylor said he was grateful to Weymouth for getting his career going here when he was at Bristol Rovers as a youngster and came on loan to the Wessex Stadium. He actually played as a centre-half for Weymouth. Been up front most of his career since then. Weymouth's response was to make a change. Brian Dutton, who has scored in the last two matches against Welling and Basingstoke, has replaced Sean Wilkinson.
It's a total lapse of concentration. They conceded a goal. Oh, I think Gary ought to be so annoyed.
Elam's onside though, there's nobody in the middle. He's going to have to go for it himself.
That's got to go across the goalkeeper. That's a real poor strike from Elam. He's through on goal. He's on the angle, yeah, the offside trap fails them this time. He just got to wave a close call. Not this time, though. That's got to go across the keeper and at least force it into a save. Plenty of time to think about is getting on it. Compose yourself, get your strike in, but he doesn't either. Well wide.
Well, a big lapse from Weymouth has gifted Forest the lead, but credit to Southall for keeping going. Credit to Taylor, who still had to finish it. Taylor just back from a 3-match ban after his red card, not too far from here at Yeovil a few weeks ago. Weymouth will be kicking themselves, but it's advantage Forest. Here's Clark. Jack Lester with the layoff, although Elam nearly in, but Thompson gives it to Curtis. Tidy from Tully. Jack Lester. Well, he saw Jason Matthews a bit off his line.
I suppose it was the right idea, but it's not a very good execution, is it? Crossbar challenge. I think he just failed it. one at all to Nottingham Forest whatsoever now, and they'll be quite happy that midfield three just to sit in there now and let them come onto them.
Elam. Oh, Gerrard had to beat it out, and Cullen hoisted it behind for the corner.
Well, that was moving all over the place simply because he mishit it. Elam mishits it, but ends up moving all over the place. Struggles to deal with it, but thankfully for him, Danny Cullip switched on. Harry Ben really should have been switched on as well. He was a little bit slow in anticipating.
Wilkinson has gone off, so the corner kick duty goes to Harris. Gareth Taylor proving rather useful in both penalty boxes.
Well, he has cleared 2 or 3 times. Played with Gareth when he was at Crystal Palace for a season. And as you said, Ian, he did play at centre-back as well for a long time in his career. Very good in the air.
Tully's delivery. Taylor now for Southall, who set up the goal. Perch. Chalice. Elam. Tully. Curtis. Sorting Elam out. Thompson takes over. Now Gareth Taylor. Thompson. Southall. Thompson again, it Cannondale bound. Southall is going to put Perch in. All run across for Gareth Taylor again. That might just be that. That could be Nottingham Forest surviving in the FA Cup.
Well, that was their best passing sequence of the match. They kept the ball, they passed, they probed. Eventually Southall puts in Perch. It's a great cross in behind the defence. And Tully switches off again. He's not marking him, he's just totally switched off. He's not looking over his shoulder, who's on the far post. And Gareth Taylor has a simple task of just putting it in the net for 2-0. But it was their best passing sequence of the game, culminating in a good cross and a good finish. But it is poor marking again. Is he happy or is he relieved?
Well, Gareth Taylor, former Weymouth Loney, scores his second of the match. And a long way back for Weymouth now. It's been a bit of a grind for Nottingham Forest, make no mistake about that. But they are staring at a place in the second round, and Ross Gardner is charging through, and Matt Bound put him off the idea, but it's a corner.
I think that's the first time we've seen a midfield player break beyond his strikers. Unlucky Gardner, but Bound does ever so well to get back and gets a toe on the ball away for the corner.
Forest in the hunt for a third, but Bound steers away. The corner. Gardner. Nicky Southall blocked by Bound. Oh, Jack Lester. It's going to bounce away from him. Well, Gary Megson's Nottingham Forest look like they will be off to Keith Curle's Chester in the next round. Curle actually played with Megson at Manchester City a few years ago. Here's Harris. Chalice. Here's Dutton on as a sub. it's fallen flat for Weymouth, but we said at the start, whatever happened tonight, they were certainly going to remember this season. Their first time in the first round of the FA Cup for 20 years, and generations of their supporters have never really known a time like this, where they took the two-time European Cup winners of Nottingham Forest to a replay. Still time for them to spark a recovery, but Forest looking in command.
Well, they had a couple of decent spells early in the second half, didn't they, Weymouth? But they didn't capitalise on it. Didn't really have any outstanding chances, and they got caught napping a couple of times, I felt. But it's ironic, really, when Forest did start to pass the ball, that's when the chances were created. Southall run down the ball for the first goal, but the second goal, that was good passing, and that's when you should be asserting your authority as the league team against the non-league team.
Well, Weymouth are taking off the former West Ham rookie, Steve Clarke, and in his place, it's Darren Wheeler, who previously played his football in Surrey for Guildford and Godalming. And Forest are making a change as well. John Curtis has gone off to be replaced by this man, Nicky Eden, who, like Ian Breckin, did his bit for Wigan Athletic last season as they won promotion to the Premiership. Morgan won it. Thompson to Taylor. Perch for Gardner. Perch, the latest to progress through Nottingham Forest's famed academy. O'Brien, who played a few years in Arsenal's reserves before deciding to continue his career at a lower level. Perch's cross, met by Trevor Chalice, but Taylor was in there in the hunt for a hat-trick. Forest have had a fairly productive weekend on the south coast, a draw at Bournemouth Saturday, and Bournemouth are no much, they play some good football. And maybe a win here unless Weymouth are about to launch a major salvage operation at the Wessex Stadium. We'll look back on that first half chance when Chucky Ereben's shot was finger-tipped onto the post by Paul Gerrard. Although Forest, of course, might have taken the lead themselves with David Johnson's header. And Gareth Taylor's come along with a quick double. Nicky Eden will take this throw.
Just seems to have lulled now, doesn't it? Just seems that Weymouth are kind of resigned to the fact that they're going to lose this cup tie at the moment. It's going to be very difficult to break Forest down twice when they're playing five at the back. And those three in midfield, obviously, so it's going to be very, very difficult for them to get back in the game. It all came from that first lapse in concentration. It really cost them dearly. It's probably been the difference between the two sides. Just that one lapse.
Jackson needs some treatment. This is why.
Yeah, just a bit of a sandwich. He was the meat in the sandwich, wasn't he, as Morgan came in? And there you could see smacked on the head, and then in the back as well.
Crunched by his own man, Brian Dutton. International football to come. Tomorrow, Sky Sports 1, 7:30. Can Peter Taylor's England under-21 side get the better of the French and qualify for their European Championships? And we're with England's under-19s on Wednesday at 7 on Sky Sports 1 when they take on Switzerland. It's at Wickham. Here at Weymouth, it was painful for Kirk Jackson, who has experienced good times in the FA Cup. Went on a bit of a run with Yeovil a couple of years ago and played against Liverpool.
It was a nasty one, wasn't he? Checking his jaw and his eye socket there. The physio, that was a nasty one.
Gary Hill's Weymouth can, unless they manage to haul themselves back in what remains of this game, concentrate on their prime objective, which is to escape from the Conference South into the Conference National. Tony Taggart waiting to come on in place of Kirk Jackson. Taggart was on Farnborough's bench a few years ago when they played Arsenal in the FA Cup. It was he who more or less started this FA Cup run going in all its glory, with a winner in the second qualifying round replay against Weston-super-Mare. Seems a while ago now. Offside here against Gareth Taylor. O'Brien's header. Leicester's taking it off Elam's toes. Jack Leicester sees the funny side of Elam's challenge.
Just got a wrap on the ankle, didn't he? I just think you look at it at the end of the evening, and Gary Hill will say, we didn't really get behind them. We didn't get into deep areas against a very disciplined side that came here, playing 5 at the back, 3 in midfield side. We didn't really have the chance to get in behind Nottingham Forest.
Now, the other game being played tonight, Worcester City have taken the lead against Chippenham. Adam Webster with the goal. And that could secure them a home tie against Huddersfield in round 2. What a big game that would be for Worcester. Weymouth's 13-match unbeaten run seemingly coming to an end. But it's not quite so bad when it comes to an end against a team of the stature of Nottingham Forest, who will become the first team to win at the Wessex Stadium since March. Chalice.
As soon as he's turning inside, I think they've done that far too often tonight. They've turned into the bodies of the midfield men. They've always had a chance if they kept it out wide, but for me, they haven't kept it out wide for long enough to get into those deep positions we were talking about, Ian, to get those crosses in. Probably once they did on the breakaway through Clark, and it ended in a shot from Eribend, didn't it? But most of it tonight has been this kind of stuff. Well, look, that's it. Danny Cullett going through, and the other 2 central defenders alongside him, Brecken and Morgan, are winning high balls all night long. Having said that, there's not been a lot of difference between the 2 sides, and there was just that lapse in concentration for the first goal, of course, that really has cost Weymouth dear.
Well, the whole nation would like to see Weymouth score a goal here, apart from Forest fans. And maybe set up a fascinating finale. Gary Megson was saying the same in the build-up. Nobody would want his side to come through this, apart from the Forest faithful. But they appear to have done a job in the end. Leicester. He's got the free kick off Chalice. This has been Weymouth's most notable FA Cup tie since they went to Manchester United all the way back in 1950. Lost 4-0 at Old Trafford. A few runs since, but haven't really come up against a team of Nottingham Forest history. Eden. Matt Bown having to flick it away from Gareth Taylor. I'm sure they'll share a drink after the game. Teammates together in Southampton's youth side. Fairly long time ago now.
He's done well since he came on. Thompson in the middle of midfield. He has looked to pass the ball. It was him who was really at the hub of that second goal, passing and moving, getting Forest passing and moving. Done well since he came on in the middle of midfield.
Southall. Eden's cross. Gardner doesn't connect. Matt Bound hoisted it away to Eribed. And here is Wheeler. Gets the free kick. Chalice. Ian Brecken won that. Brecken clears, he's got one over his big mate Kirk Jackson, for whom he was best man at his wedding. That will be offside.
Disciplined stuff all night from that back three. Probably broke the offside trap once when Elam went through and he shot rather hastily high and wide and the near post rather than going for the far, but generally all night they've been in command.
Gareth Taylor's 2 goals have made the difference. In his first round replay in the 125th year of the FA Cup. We're on the road to somewhere this season, but we're not quite sure where yet. Wembley or Cardiff. The visit of Nottingham Forest has given the Wessex Stadium here on the south coast its first sellout crowd. Record gain of 6,500. The previous best attendance was 5,000 when Manchester United came here to open the stadium in 1987. And Weymouth actually beat Manchester United that day 1-0. They have been unable to claim the major scalp of Nottingham Forest, who will be going to Chester City in round 2.
And I'm sure there'll be a huge sigh of relief from all the players and the staff at Forest. They took them all the way, Weymouth in the first game and the replay tonight. They acquitted themselves well. They have struggled to break them down.
Next up for Weymouth, it's a trip to Hayes next Saturday in the Conference South. Next up for Forest, big game at the City Ground against Southend, who've done so well. Nicky Eden. Helped by Dutton. Oh, Nicky Southall. going to be 3 minutes added on. Wheeler. Leicester. Southall. Gareth Taylor. Taylor back from a ban tonight. Had to sit out the first meeting between these teams.
He felt sure it was his throw-in. He just tried to flick it off the defender's foot. Tried away to collect the throw-in, and to his astonishment, it's been given the other way.
Jack Leicester's taking it off Brian Dutton's toes. Here's Gardner. James Perch, not exactly in a hurry. Forest have come through what always promised to be a test here into Weymouth side, who are now full-time. Gary Megson, who's been under a fair bit of pressure, to say the least, will be rather relieved that his team have seen off the non-league challenge. Elam. While the Weymouth fans will still give their team a standing ovation at the end. It's been a memorable cup run. It's been a fantastic experience, and Weymouth has certainly been put on the map over the last week or so. I'm sure we'll hear of them again soon as they make their progress out of the Conference South, onwards and upwards, and they'd like to do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I feel sure that they'll be a real force trying to get out of that Conference South. Already heard about the size of the squad, how good they are, and how they're coming on strong now. I feel it's going to be a very good season for Gary Hill and his boys, and a good experience as well, trying to break down a disciplined outfit like Nottingham Forest. Totally different from what they're probably playing every week. And it's a great experience for them.
Well, it's over. And Gary Megson's Forest are through. No more FA Cup exploits for Gary Hill. Mind you, he's had a few in his time with Dagenham and Redbridge and with Weymouth this season. A sigh of relief for Megson. And Gareth Taylor, who had a loan spell here as a centre-half in 1992, came back 13 years later to score the 2 goals that have knocked Weymouth out of the FA Cup and have taken Nottingham Forest through to a second-round trip to Chester. Weymouth will always remember, though, the day Nottingham Forest came to town.
A brilliant evening for him, I think. Brilliant evening for him, and I think that could be commended all the way, but I think in the end, the discipline of Forest run won the evening, and obviously that little lapse in concentration where they conceded that that first goal when Southall got down the line, it really should have been closed out and away for a corner or a throw-in. It cost them dearly. And Gareth Taylor ends up winning the spoils for them with 2 goals.
No shock, but plenty of memories for Weymouth. But it's Forest who go through. This FA Cup first round replay ends Weymouth 0, Nottingham Forest 2.
Well, the higher the hopes, the greater the disappointment, and Weymouth couldn't quite reproduce the form that they showed at the City Ground, but they've got absolutely nothing to be ashamed of this evening here at the Wessex Stadium. Packed to the rafters, and the great majority of those home fans have stayed just to see the parade at the end, and Gary Megson just giving a handshake there to the opposing skipper as he walks away, well satisfied with his night's work. A potentially awkward FA Cup tie has been, in the end, surpassed by Nottingham Forest without too much difficulty. Football coming up for you on Sky Sports. International action. Peter Taylor's under-21 in their European Championship playoff second leg against France, poised at 1 apiece after the first leg. Tomorrow, Sky Sports 1, 7:30. On Wednesday, we'll see the England under-19s up against the Swiss under-19s. That's on Sky Sports 1 from 7. And on Thursday, it's Sky Sports Victory Shield action as the Welsh under-16 takes on their Northern Ireland counterparts. Sky Sports 2 at 7:30. We'll get the views of the former Weymouth player manager Steve Claridge in a moment or two. Keith Curle celebrating his 42nd birthday today. His birthday present, a tie against Nottingham Forest at home in the next round.
This weekend, a Ford Premiership double. Saturday at noon, the surprise team of the season, Wigan.
Chimbonda has scored for Wigan.
Face Arsenal.
My goodness, where did that come from?
Then on Ford Super Sunday at 3:30. Middlesbrough play Fulham.
It's Malbrook and Fulham lead.
A Ford Football Premiership double this weekend, Sky Sports 1.
This has got to go.
You shouldn't have to wait to skate. New Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. First skating game with no loading screens. Tony Hawk's American Wasteland.
5, 4, 3.
Download music to your mobile and PC. Watch TV shows on your mobile.
Next time, I'm driving.
Welcome to our network.
No one would have believed in the last years of the 19th century that human affairs were being watched from the timeless worlds of space.
Jeff Wayne's The War of the Worlds. Featuring the hit singles Forever Autumn and The Eve of the War. Now stunningly remixed and remastered. The perfect gift for Christmas. Jeff Wayne's The War of the Worlds. Double album. Out now.
Lookworth?
Oh. Get down to Woolworths for Jethro in Cuckoo Land and Roy Chubby Brown, King Thong on DVD for $16.99 each. Everyone loves great comedy, so give great comedy to someone you love. Woolworths, magical prices worth celebrating.
Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. Saturday, holiday. Moving all week with you. These days are ours. Share them with me. These days are ours. These happy days are yours and mine.
Citroen C3, designed for happy days.
Based on a true story.
Demons exist whether you believe in them or not.
The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Hi, how you doing?
Should we go somewhere a little quieter?
Oh, no, standing there would be good.
New Foster's Super Chilled. Well, you wouldn't want a warm beer, would you?
199er. They're only 199.
Guess how much Burger King's freshly baked baguettes cost, including new fiery barbecue beef.
199er. They're only 199.
Lacoste, fragrance for men.
Jamiroquai, the incredible new album, Dynamite. Includes the brand new track, Don't Give Hate a Chance. Plus the brilliant singles, Feels Just Like It Should, and 7 Days in Sunny June. Jamiroquai, Dynamite, out now.
Well, the FA Cup adventure is over for Gary Hill and his Weymouth players. They didn't really look like causing an upset too often tonight, in truth, and they went to sleep at the vital moment. Gareth Taylor didn't. He's the man of the match. He's with Paul Gerrard, and both are talking with Greg Whelan.
Gareth, pleased tonight, and no doubt rather relieved as well.
Yeah, delighted. It's a tough place to come. I thought they played really well tonight and give a good account of themselves. But we did the hard part, matched them. They had a lot of the play, but you know, we put a few goals in, or a couple of goals in. Great balls in from Perchie and Nicky Southall, so we're really pleased.
What did your manager impress upon you before this game?
Basically to match them. We knew what it was going to be like. We knew we had to work as hard as they are, fight for every ball, and I think we did that. But like I say, you know, they give a good account of themselves today.
They did, because it was really hard to pick a winner until you scored the first goal.
Yeah, it was, to be fair. I mean, if anything, you know, they looked maybe more likely to get a half chance, and but you know, the lads at the back were really solid, and it was a good team performance.
Let's bring in the goalkeeper here, Paul. Gareth did the business at one end, but a vital save from you just before half-time at the other.
Yeah, I thought they played some good football first half, unlucky not to win the front. Fortunately, got a tip onto the post on the shot, like you say. But we was under a lot of pressure tonight. I thought the boys did well. Wasn't ideal the first half, you know, we was, like I said, we were under a lot of pressure, but second half we managed to get the ball on the floor. Gaz came up with the goals what we needed and took the pressure off us.
Pleased to come through as comfortably as you did in the end, though.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't comfortable at the start, like I say, but in the end, after we got the goals off Gareth, you know, we managed to get the ball down and relax a bit and see the game off. But, you know, they had nothing to lose, so we was under a lot of pressure tonight. Just had to be professional individually and as a team, and that's what we did, and applied ourselves really well.
Well done, Gareth. You're the FA man of the match tonight. Paul, if you do the honours for us, please. Well done, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, that Gareth Taylor double seen them through to the second round of the FA Cup. Steve Claridge, the former Weymouth player manager, has been watching with me. And the first question, Steve, is what on earth was going on in that Weymouth defence when Forest took the lead? I mean, many players went to sleep at the same time.
We were the other end, weren't we? And we thought there was offside because, the ground just went quiet. Everybody stopped. It seemed like Steve Tully, you've got to say, had a fantastic game at right back. Just switches off with Taylor. I think he expects Bound to make the tackle. It's a well-worked move. Probably one of the first times that Forest do actually get in behind the Weymouth defence. I mean, he's not favourite there.
There's a lot of credit to Nicky Southall.
There's no way he should get the ball in, though, should there? Steve Tully expects the ball to be cleared. As you can see, Tully's goal side, he's the right side of Taylor. But all of a sudden, he just goes out the picture. Taylor anticipates what I was talking about first half, about anticipating where, you know, never give up on anything. And he gets his just desserts. And you've got to say, I mean, apart from that, we were saying we just couldn't see a winner, could we?
Had it almost been too easy for the Weymouth defence? They'd not been under much pressure.
No, they hadn't. I mean, as I say, I think he fully expected them just to clear the ball and get on with it, and that certainly wasn't the case. I mean, if you give Taylor those sort of opportunities, he's going to stick them away.
And at last, we saw a bit of quality from Forest for the second goal. Again, Southall was involved.
Yeah, it was a different game. As soon as they scored, it was game over really, in effect, as a contest, and it was a really, really well-worked move. It's a super ball in between the fullback here. I think it's Perch, isn't it?
Southall
it's Perch that gets on it. This is absolute quality right across the goal there. He's got one man to pick out, and it's Taylor, who's just taking. He doesn't want to get involved here, Taylor. Knows there's no one in the box. Doesn't want to get involved in the build-up play. Gets his arm up there. Thinks the ball's going to come in. Still no one's picked him up. He's just got goal side. And again, he just runs in behind Tully. And it's a fantastic ball in. Very, very difficult to defend. Simple goal in the end.
Well, Gary Megson hasn't had too much to celebrate during his reign at Forest. He should be a happy man this evening. Here he is with Greg.
Gary, you knew it was going to be a tough night tonight. How satisfied are you with the way your side came through it?
Well, obviously the idea first and foremost was make sure that we did come through it, because you know, even though we've won, really, it was just expected of us, and everything was there for us to lose. But I thought we defended very well in the first half. They've had one shot that Jez has managed to tip onto the post, but we didn't settle on the ball at all. And you know, second half we did that a little bit better.
Your players looked a little bit nervous, particularly first half, I thought.
I think they're bound to be, though, because we've put ourselves in this situation where, you know, we were talking about we had to match everything that they would be able to do better than ourselves, and you know, enthusiasm, attitude, work rate, running, and we did that. Defended very well, as I say, but we didn't have the you know, the goal about us in the first half to actually settle on the ball, and I thought we did it much better in the second half and scored what were 2 good goals.
Class told in the end, didn't it?
You would hope so, because we, like a lot of our players, earn good money, and you know, the 2 goals I thought were really well worked and obviously well taken by Big Gaz. But we needed to do more of that. But you know, once they started to run out a little bit of steam, then you know, gradually we got ourselves on top.
Well done tonight.
Thank you.
First clean sheet away from home this season, which is something to be pleased about.
Yeah, I mean, they set up like that, didn't they? They came here to make the game difficult, to keep it at 0-0 as long as they can. A little bit of quality, as we saw, as the game slowed down a little bit. They played the 2 wing-backs very, very deep, and when we commented all through the game, you know, at times they were almost behind the three centre-halves, so they didn't come up and to make this an expansive game, to make it an open game. They made it a game that was going to be very, very tight, you know, and in the end, as I say, a little bit of extra quality saw them through.
Well, let's hear from the Weymouth manager now, Gary Hill. Here he is with Greg.
Gary, your cup run's over for this year, but how proud of you of your side tonight?
Oh, different class of boys, you know. Showed a lot of character. 4th game in 9 days. Very unlucky not to be in front at half-time. Chuck Era, being the keeper's made a great save by push onto the post. Felt at 70 minutes, at 0-0, we looked like the side who was certainly in charge of the match. But we're disappointed with the goal. You know, it's not a big secret about it. You know, sometimes them balls have to go out in the stand, and I'm afraid that we've not dealt with it. All credit to the Forest boy, he's chased it down, and we got punished with it. And it was a big blow to us at the time, because our goalkeeper hadn't had a save to make. But that's the difference in levels. That's the difference in levels, that when you play against sides like Nottingham Forest, you can't afford to switch off or take anything for granted. You've got to deal with it. And we've got punished. And, you know, they've got a second one again where we'll be a little bit disappointed. But, you know, overall, we've come a long way. I've been here 6 months now. Great turnout. They've been out the first round of the Cup for 20 years. I think everybody who's been here tonight have enjoyed it. Hopefully people up and down the country have seen us give a good account of ourselves. And I think that, you know, the first goal was a big telling point, but I'm very proud of my players.
Well done tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, they've had a good cup run. I just got the impression, though, that they never really built up a head of steam this evening. Never really had Forest with their backs against the wall. Just the odd chance.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the way that it worked out the way that Forest would have imagined. You know, they envisaged coming here, making it a very tight game, and which is exactly what it was. And there was probably maybe one opportunity for Weymouth. Really unlucky. It's a super save by Gerrard. You know, possibly. As a turning point for them, that was it.
The second half, both felt a little.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little bit. Doesn't settle himself down there. Morgan's quick, so he gets across. He makes the ground up probably a lot quicker than he expected, and he snatches at it. I mean, we were right behind that, weren't we?
Yeah.
And I mean, you can see how much the ball moves there. Gerrard really was. They took the safest option because the ball was moving incredibly.
Yeah, absolutely. He kept a clean sheet, his first clean sheet on the road this season, and it means that they're through to the next round and they travel away to Chester in round 2 of the FA Cup. But Steve, thanks very much indeed for your company this evening. I enjoyed it. Let's tell you about what's coming up on Sky Sports' various channels, shall we? These are the details. Peter Taylor's England under-21s against the French under-21s. It's a European Championship playoff game, all square, one apiece after the first leg. Sky Sports 1, 7:30 tomorrow for that. The England under-19s take on their Swiss counterparts on Wednesday. Sky Sports 1 at 7. Thursday, Wales under-16s against the Northern Ireland under-16s. Victory Shield, Sky Sports 2, 7:30. You're on Sky Sports is on Sky Sports 1 tonight at 10:15. And don't forget the first test, day 4, Pakistan against England, live 4:15 in the morning, Sky Sports 2. Well, it wasn't quite on a par with some of their great triumphs in the past, was it? But Gary Megson won't be bothered about that. His side are safely through to the second round of the FA Cup. Good night.
But tonight,